Hi, this is Mr. Max. I'm doing paper 1 of the paper that was written in August of 2025. This is Erongo region's mock exam. Okay, so it's out of 80 marks and it's 2 hours long. And there's a whole lot of instructions that normally comes with the question papers. And for me, this one over here is a no-brainer. Make sure that you understand that if you are given a question and they don't specify within the question to what degree of accuracy you should leave your answer, they don't say give answer to this place or so on and so on, then this is the instructions or the ones that you will be using. So you'll be giving answers to 3 significant figures, and then if you're dealing with trigonometry questions of angles, you give your answer to 1 decimal place. And then for the value of pi, you are either going to use your calculator value or you can use 3.142, which should give you more or less a close approximate. All right, so let's just dive right into the questions, starting obviously with the very first one. This is just using your calculator and punch that stuff into your calculator. Okay, so if you were to do that, you will obviously open brackets the way they indicate. Then you hopefully you're using a calculator that is very similar, that has got this program in it. So this is your answer that you are going to get. Right, I'm just going to punch that answer over there for you to see. Now they are saying you should give this answer to 2 significant figures. Now, a significant figure is the first non-zero digit, so the second significant figure is 6 here, which is in the thousands place. That 900 is going to make that into a 7,000, so this answer is 87,000. Okay. Right. Going to the next question. Very straightforward question. They say somebody buys a radio for $80 and sell it for $70. There is obviously a loss, so the percentage loss will be that extra loss, and the difference of that is 10. Put it over the original amount, multiply that by 100. Okay, at the end of the day, you have 100 divided by 8, and that is like 12.5%. All right, because that is like 50 over 4, 25 over 2. Okay, 12.5%. Straightforward question. Write down the number other than 1 that is a factor of 14 and 35. It's 7. Okay, at this level, these questions are quite basic, and you're supposed to be able to solve them the way we are starting these papers normally. The LCM, or the lowest common denominator or lowest common multiple of 14 and 35, well, it is 70, and there are many ways you can calculate that, but of course, at this stage, I do expect you to know. You can list either the multiples of 14, a few of them, and the multiples of 35, a few of them, or, use prime factor, and then you'll be able to find that answer. So if you do understand what I mean, is that I know that the number 14 is 2 times 7. Both of them are prime numbers. The number 35 is like 7 times 5, so that's 5 times 7. Now, for you to get the LCM, so first thing is you're going to write down what is common. Then the 7s are common, okay? So you're going to write the common thing only once. And everything else, okay, you're going to write everything else there, times 2 times 5. That's what you're going to do, okay? And if you were to do that, that is 70. That's how you can also find it. So the yellow indicator here, that would be like the factor, highest common factor. So the highest common factor is that 7, and you only write 8 once. Okay, right, this one is just you using a calculator. And again, If you were to punch this on your calculator, make sure your calculator maybe is in significant figures. So let's see if I can do that. So I'm picking 7 here, which is standing for scientific notation. And to what do we want to round this answer? 3 significant figures. So if I was to say 2.6 and use this button over here, so that's 2.6 times 10 raised to the power of, you can only punch -3. You don't have to see raised to, because it's programmed within that, plus 9.1 times 10 to the -4th power, and that should give you the answer in standard form. That's 3.51 times 10 to the -3. Okay, so however you do it, whether you want to write it as an ordinary number, and then from there you start giving your answer, right? An ordinary number. So I'm going to go back to normal, and I'm going to choose option 2. That should be able to give me like the decimal equivalent of that, and then you can also then rewrite it from there and change it back into standard form. It's totally up to you how you want to go about that. All right, so at the end of the day, we expect this answer over here. Right, let's go to the next one. So they have given you tongue twister, some numbers like 2. What is the square of 2? That's 2 times 2, which is 4. What is the cube of 2? That's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 36 is the square of 6. 6 times 6 gives you 36. And 6 cubed is 216. The number over here would be -4, because -4, if you cube it, you say -4, and you cube it, you're going to get -64, what I've indicated here. But anything that you square, and this is important, anything that you square is always going to be positive. So this answer over here should be 16. Positive. Remember, square numbers cannot be negative. Right. The population of Ois is rounded. They say it's 39,000. That is rounded to 2 significant figures. And what is the second significant figure value then? That's 1,000. Then you divide it by 2. So you will be adding and subtracting 500 to this number. So adding 500, the big number comes to the right side. Subtracting 500, that is going to be 38,500. Right? Nadine buys 30,000 square meter of land, and they are going to use it for various purposes: a house, a garden. In the garden, they're going to plant quite different things. So the land is divided into H is for house, so I'm going to put it under the 5. And the F is for flowers, I'm going to put it under 8. Vegetable is 7, so that's V. And then the grass is the 4. Now, the total parts, if you were to add, you add 5 plus 8, okay, plus 7 plus 4 gives you 24. And the one used for vegetables is 7 of the 24. Then you simply multiply it by 30,000, because you want to find the area of that, or show that. So once you do this, right, and you use your calculator, this is where you are getting the mark, because this is how you will be establishing this answer over here. And you can see if you do that, that's going to give you that answer. So I have shown that. Write down the fraction of land used for grass. So what is our fraction of grass? Grass is 4 out of 24. 4 out of 24. Well, that is just going to simplify to 1/6. Then they are saying to buy the land, Nadine borrowed $5,000 at 6.4 interest rate. Simple interest for that matter for 2 years. The word total amount is bolded. The amount is the one that we are looking for. So the amount would be the amount that he had borrowed plus the interest. And the interest is obviously calculated by that amount. You multiply that by the rate, which is the percentage. You multiply that by the time, which is the years. Right, all of that, okay, I'm going to put all of this in brackets so you can know that obviously you have to do that. I don't know why I put all of this stuff so in the air. Naturally, you might be putting them over 1, but it's really not necessary. Okay, so you are now having 5,000 plus the interest amount is 640. So at the end of the day, the person here must pay 5,640. That's 5,640. All right, that is the answer there. Right, in 2023, the number of tourists that visited the Erongo region was 19,800. This number was 10% more than whatever it was in 2022. So you have to go in the past, and we don't know what the figure was in the past. This tells you you are dealing with a scenario of a reverse percentage where the 100 is always on top. Another thing that you need to remember is the number of tourists in 2022 are supposed to be less than this 19,800. And because you are doing reverse percentages and the 100 is always on top, what you expect is you expect the number here to be big. Okay? Because the answer you're looking for is less than. And because the answer is going to be less than, you have to multiply with a what you call it, a proper fraction. Numerator, which is 100, should be less than the denominator. Right. But I'll take it step by step. So I'll say, okay, so it's going to be 100%. I'm going to add that 10% so that I can know what is my percentage that I need to work with. This 110%, I'll write it like this, is equal to 19,800 over the total of 2022. So I'm going to use x for that. If I cross multiply, I get 110x is equal to 100 times 19,800. Okay. Now, if I was to sort of divide by 110, and I'm going to say that x is equal to that 100 divided by 110 times 19,800. This is where the reverse percentage comes in of the whole scenario. Okay, and the answer is 18,000. So you could actually go straight to this if you know what is it that you're doing. Okay, let's get to question 9. The temperature on a Monday at noon is 12 o'clock midday. It was 2 degrees Celsius, and then the temperature dropped by 5 degrees Celsius. So the temperature that now we are looking for is minus 3 degrees Celsius. Right here you are supposed to expand, so you're just going to multiply everything outside. That gives you 18x cubed, and that's 6x times that negative, that is negative 24x squared. That is it, and you're done with that particular question. Right, they are supposed to make t the subject of the formula. So what you're going to do is going to say b plus c, okay, that equals to 4t, and then t would simply be calculated by taking that b plus c and divide it by 4. Okay, and this is how you make that, how you get to that answer. Right, this is very straightforward. You should actually be able to do this equation, to solve this equation simultaneously. Let's say that's equation 1, this is equation 2. And let's suppose I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to put brackets around this equation. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say equation 1 minus equation 2. And if I do that, the x's they cancel, okay? The x's they cancel, and then you have scenario of 3y minus negative y, which it gives you 4y. So this is going to be 4y, and 6 minus 2, that is 4. Then you should not be able to have a problem to realize that, wait a minute, y is equal to 1. Then you go back to the original equations, whether it's x minus y equals to 2, and you substitute y equals 1 into them. Doesn't matter which equation you are using, right? And that should give you that x is equal to 2 at 1. So x is 3 and y is 1. So we expect you to be able to do this without struggling. Okay, of course. Also take note that you need to show your working so that you can maximize your marks, because you are going to definitely be given method marks and so on. So don't just try to dive directly and just write the answers. You could make mistakes there. Factorize, you take out the highest common factor of 4xy and 2x. That is just going to be 2x and 2x. Now you say 4xy, you divide it by that factor that you take out by 2x. What you're going to be left with, the x's cancel, 2 goes there 2 times. This is 2y inside. And you're not going to do the same. You're going to take the negative 2x over here. You're going to divide it by 2x. All right. Once you do that, you're just going to get negative 1 as an answer. And that is all she wrote. And that's the final answer as far as that is concerned. Okay. You can always check your answer by multiplying back, and then you'll see we'll definitely get to the same answer. This negative says you must take the inverse of this, so this becomes x is on top now, and the 3 is under, and now the exponent is now positive. Okay, so think of that negative as directing you what to do with the base, that is flip the base. Then you can now actually square everything. That means you can square. The x can be squared and the 3 can be squared. So at the end of the day, I'm having x squared upon 9 as a final answer. Right, let's go to question 15, some word problems. Martha, Maria and Frida. They are each given X dollars. We don't know how much it is. But Frida decides to spend. The moment you spend, you are going to have less, right? So that's the answer there, the expression. Maria also has X, remember, but she doubles her money. So that is going to be 2X. Okay. And then she's given another $5. So she's now given more. That is 5. That is the expression over there. Now they say Maria now. So Maria has 2x plus 5. She now has 3 times as much as what Frida has. Okay. So you put a 3 at the one who has less value. So what they are now asking you to do is you are supposed to solve the equation that you just created. So 2x. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to write the 3 over this side of the equal sign and the 2x plus 5 on that side. Doesn't matter. But you'll see in a moment why I'm doing that. Because I'm going to be distributing this. So I'll have 3x minus 12 is equal to 2x plus 5. So when I'm collecting like terms, then I would want to have, the value of x to be positive. So taking that and having the 5, adding the 12 on both sides. So at the end of the day, x will just be 17. Okay. Right, let's go to the next question. The length of a line joining the points. So, I hope you're familiar with the formula. Calculate the magnitude of a line. It's take the two x values, so there's x values here, and then you say subtract them from each other, square. Take the two y values, start with the 8, so I started with negative 4, so I'm going to start with the 8, and you're going to square. So add square, take square root. Well, if you do the stuff inside, you can actually go right ahead and use your calculator. You are going to get already the required answer. And the required answer, this gives you the square root of 25, which is just 5, since we don't know whether it's centimeters or whatever. We're just going to say 5 units. That's our answer there. That's how that would be the length of that line. Right, question 17. This person asks some people, we don't know how many people in total, but she asked or he asked these people, if they own a car, if they own a motorbike, and in that survey, if you want to say that, 7 people own neither a car or neither a car, depending how you want to say that word. They don't have a car or they don't have a motorbike, so we tend to put it on the outside in the Venn diagram here. Then we know that the number of people who own a car in total, they are 89. That's what we know. So I can actually calculate what this value would be over here. And also we know that the total number of people who own a motorbike are 39. So this set here is represented, it should give you 89 in total. So what is that missing where I put my dot there? You're going to say 89 minus 74. And if you do that, you'll get, obviously, I think you get 12. Okay. Now, if that is what you are receiving, yes, 12 is the answer, and I'm going to write my 12. Now I'm going to come to this other one. This whole set of motorbikes should be 39, but it's 12 plus something more should give you 39. Or it's the same as saying 39 take away the 12, and that gives you the 27 as an answer. So in this, we have 27. So we have actually completed the Venn diagram. Okay. Now, they ask you in part B, find the total number of people, and that would be 74 who only have a car, plus 12 who have a car plus a motorbike, plus 27 who only have a motorbike, plus 7. You add all of this up, that will give you the universal set, which is 120. So the 120 is the number of people who were asked. Okay. Right. They say we should shade. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let me see. I'm going to draw that. I'm going to take that diagram. Let's see. Let me do this. Okay. So let me just have the diagram over here, and let me add then 2 overlapping circles. So yeah, I really thought that those circles would, let's just have them as, I don't know, transparent. Okay, this one, and let's just remove this one. Just bear with me. I'm going to remove all of that. I'm going to have another circle over here, like so. And then I'm going to have my rectangle. I hope it's going to be fitting nicely. Okay, something like that. So let's see. What is it that I know? I know that this is C for car. I know this is M for motorbike. Obviously, this here is the universal set. So I'm supposed to shade. So you can do this many ways. What I like to do is I like to put random numbers. I put a number at each region. So that 1 represents the region on the outside. This 2 is for C only. This 3 is for the intersection of C and M. And this 4 is for M only. Now I'm going to use what I have over here. All right. And I'm going to say, okay, what is in set C? In set C, I have 2 and 3. 2 and 3. That we are going to find with the intersection, okay, of what is not in M. And what is not in M is 1 and 2. Now the next thing that I'm going to look is, remember this here, consider that as what do they share? What do they have in common? And if you look at what they have in common, you would see that they have that 2 is in common over there and over there. And that would be the region that you would be shading. So you would be shading where that 2 is only. Okay, so 1 mark question, and your work there is done. All right. So you could be taking random numbers, put them in every region, and do it like so, and then you should not have any problems with your shading. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question is a question on vectors. Well, it's just simple. You just add 2 vectors together. So you'll be taking -2 plus -3, and then -3 plus 4. So you'll be adding each component, and then you'll see what are your solutions. Okay, that will be -5 over there, and -3 is the same as 4 minus 3, which is what? Which is just 1. All right, so when you have 3 times n, so you will be multiplying each component or element of n, you're going to multiply it by 3. So you're going to triple that, or make it 3 times as long, okay? So at the end of the day, 3 times 3, that's -9, and 3 times 4, that is 12. And that's it. Right, given that you have f of x is equal to 1 minus 2x, and then if you were to insert -5 everywhere where you have the x value, what would be the outcome? Okay, so that's like 1 plus 10. So the answer here is just 11. Now here's something that you need to focus whenever you're doing this composite. I'm going to take all of f of g. That means all of this. And I'm going to sort of substitute everywhere where I have an egg, where I have a g. So working like from the back, right? So that means I'm going to have, when I do that, I'm going to have 3. And in here, this is where f of x will be replaced with my x minus 2. Okay? And what is f of x? Well, let's write it down. F of x is 1 minus 2x. So 1 minus 2x. You see, your job is nearly done over here. It's just a matter of distributing over and finding that result. So that times that, that is 3. That 3 times that, well, that is minus 6x, and there's that minus 2. Now, I will just rearrange it, okay, so that I can just clean it up a little bit. This is the same then as 3 minus 2 minus 6x. Eventually, this gives me 1 minus 6x. It doesn't really matter how you write. You can write minus 6x plus 1, but I like to have the positive term in front. Okay, so really not that complicated as long as you're really aware what is it that you need to do. Okay, when we come to this question has got you know, a little bit of everything in it. Because of let me just see if I can take a snapshot of this, and I'm going to reduce it because I want to do a few of just something here, you know, over here. So let's just, you know, have it there. The question says, between which 2 consecutive days is the larger change in the midday temperature? So all of these represents midday temperatures, right? So I'm going to do consecutive means days that follow each other. So if you look at Monday and Tuesday, Monday to Tuesday, okay, what do we have? And we're going to look at Wednesday. No, next one is obviously going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to look at Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to see what we get. Then we're going to look at Wednesday to Thursday. What is the drop in there? And then we're going to look at Thursday to Friday. Okay. And then we're going to look at Friday to Saturday. All right. So let's see. What is the drop in temperature between Monday to Tuesday? So Monday to Tuesday, you have 1, 2, 3. So you have got 3 degrees. All right. The drop in temperatures there, or the change in temperatures, I would say, will just change by 3 degrees. Okay. Between Tuesday and Wednesday, from there, it's just 1 degree. So there's just 1 degree change between Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday and Thursday, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You have got 4 degrees change. Between Thursday to Friday, that would be 1, 2. That's just 2 degrees. Okay? And then between Friday and Saturday, it's just 1 degree, although it dropped, but it's just a change of 1 degree. So clearly, the largest one or the biggest change took place between Wednesday and Thursday. So you are going to be writing that in your answer for part A, between which 2 consecutive days is the larger change in the temperatures? Well, it's between Wednesday and Thursday. They say write down the midday temperature on Sunday. So what is happening is that between Saturday and Sunday, the midday temperature falls by -3. So you're going to be here. That's 1, 2, 3. It falls by -3. So the temperature there is obviously the one that's over here, which is what? -1. So that's like -1 degree Celsius. I'm just going to write the degree Celsius close to that -1 so it doesn't look so far off social distancing. Huh? Now they are saying complete the graph to show this fall in temperature. Well, since I have it over here, just complete it. Just take that this from there to there. Okay, that's another mark. Or from here all the way to -1. That's it. Your work there is done. Good. Let's go to the next question. Question 21. You have got the equation of a straight line, and we're supposed to complete here. So where you have an x, so you have y equals to 3 in brackets plus 2. My goodness. All right, that's plus 2. And you are now supposed to put the value of x when x is -1. That's -3 plus 2. This is also -1, by the way. So let's go ahead and plot those points, because those are actually points, right? The x value, the y value. This is -1, -1. The other one is 0, 2. And the other one is 1, 5. So we can plot those points on the grid here. And then we combine it by joining it with a straight line. -1, -1 is here, always x direction, then followed by y direction. 0, 2 is here. 1, 5 is all the way up there. So then you will be taking your ruler, okay, and you'll simply be joining the points. All right. Might not be, as desired as I was looking for. Okay. More or less. Or let me delete it and do it again. I'm just going to take my ruler. I'm going to start over here and right over there, right? Okay. There you go. Much better. Much better. Then I'm going to label my point. Like to do that, all right, the point is y equals to 3x plus 2, right? Remember that. It's the equation that we had originally. Right, if you are aware of they are saying gradient of the line, so we know the equation with the line is y equals to 3x plus 2, and you most probably aware of the format. It's always in the form y equals to mx plus c, where this is the equation, the standard form for equation of a straight line. The m represents the gradient, so I will just say the gradient is equal to 3, and they just say write down, there's no calculation involved. M is equal to 3, or just write 3 on your answer space there. The 2 that you see, the c equals to 2, that is where the line cuts the y-axis, is also known as the y-intercept. Right, let's come to question 22. Adams stands on a bearing of 0.045 degrees from Bianca. A car is 40 meters from Bianca. always check this informational diagram. All right, everything is on a level ground. Points A, B, and C. BAC is 90 degrees, right angle, that is 30 degrees. So before I even get into anything, I can actually complete this one. This is 60 degrees. And the reason is that angle sum of a triangle is equal to 180 degrees. And if they ask you to calculate that one, then you simply write it down. That's 60 degrees. Okay? My goodness. Straightforward, supposed to be. Calculate the bearing of B from A. Whenever you're given a question like this, you always go to the word or the letter or whatever after from. So you go to A. We go to A. And when you're at A, you're going to draw yourselves a north line like so. Okay, so this is the north, and then what you're going to do is you are going to find the angle in a clockwise direction all the way up to there. This is the required angle. But then there's another thing that you need to understand. This 135 degree that I'm writing over here, okay, this angle and this 45, okay, they are co-interior. So from here to here, that's 135. And those angles there are co-interior. And co-interior angles are supplementary. That means they add up to 180. So how did I get it? I just say, okay, 180 take away the 45. And that is how I know, okay, that's 135. Why is that important? The whole thing will be a full revolution. But I'm looking for the ones that are indicated in blue. And the way to find that will be taking the full revolution and take away the 135. And that will be how you answer this one. So that will be 360 degrees minus 135 degrees, which is 225 degrees. It's already a three figure, so no need for you to stress. Okay? Now they're asking you to calculate the distance of A to B. Right. So let me just write down or just bring that drawing down. Just gonna sketch that right angle triangle. So let's say the right angle triangle is like that. Right. Don't worry, don't despair. We know that this here is 90 degrees. We know that this angle over here is 30 degrees. We know that this angle over here is 60 degrees. We know that this is 40 meters. That's the hypotenuse. And I'll label it ABC. All right, so let's label it ABC. And they say we must find AB. Now, you can't use Pythagoras' theorem. You have to use your ratios, your trig ratios, and I can use both of them. I will use the sine of 30 degrees is equal to sine is equal to opposite. The opposite is AB at this moment over the hypotenuse, which is that. Now, if you check on the calculator, the sine of 30 degrees is a half equals to AB over 40. Then AB will equal to a half of 40, which is 20 meters. Now, it doesn't matter if you use the sine, the cosine, you're still going to get the same answer, right? So if somebody was to use the cosine angle, the cosine of 60 is exactly the same as the sine of 30. And you can have a look at that, right? So suppose another person said, wait a minute, what if I was saying the cosine of 60, which is adjacent, which is AB, over hypotenuse. Cosine of 60, guess what? It's a half. So I'm still going to end up with the same fraction, right? And then you find AB by just finding half of 40. Okay, gives you the same outcome. Right, a bus leaves Valfors by, well, I'm going to use my calculator and hopefully you can do the same. Make sure that your times are in the 24-hour clock as both of them are. So that's 22 using that. So that's hours, minutes, and seconds. 22 hours, 38 minutes, no seconds. And I'm going to subtract 14 hours and 17 minutes from it. Just work smartly. That's 8 hours and 21 minutes. Don't write that stuff the way it is there. That's 8 hours and 21 minutes. That's it. job is done here. Right. You have to shade one more so that it can have a symmetry, so it can be having, so this is the place that you are going to shade. Right, this is the place that you are going to shade. Don't waste too much time in the exam shading, as long as you can identify the block, and then you should definitely not waste too much time. Should not take you more than a minute to do this. In fact, you can do this with your pencil very quickly. And if you were to check, you would notice that if I was to draw a line of symmetry, the line of symmetry will be here. And if I was to fold, the left side will be superimposed on the right side. You understand what I mean? If you were to think of this as a folding line or as a mirror line. Okay, right. Again, I was talking about this. You have angles that are in between parallel lines are called co-interior, and they are supplementary. That means they add up to 180 degrees. So this implies for me to calculate A that I have 6A is equal to 180. So maybe that A looks horrible. That is 6A. And that will give me that A will be 180 degrees divided by 6. Okay? And that is nothing but 30 degrees. Oops. Okay? That is nothing but 30 degrees. Clear? Next question. Right, we are supposed to construct. I think I brought this question over here, and I'm going to do it over here. Using a straight edge, that means ruler, it has a straight edge. Okay, I can even make it a little bit bigger. Right, and compasses only. Grab my compass. Compass is over there. You're supposed to construct the locus of points which are equidistant from AB to BC. So the moment you're given two letters like this, AB and BC, it means you have to cut angle B in half. That's what it means. You have to bisect angle B. And you're not going to use your protractor because they didn't say you must use your protractor. So you can decide, you take here any measurement. All right, I will do that. You can actually go right through, but I'm just going to leave space like so. That's what you're going to do, right? Follow nicely. Then I'm going to put my protractor at those points, and I will just extend. I'll just extend this so that you know that I'm not using the same. Okay, I'm just going to extend that. Let me just take away this funny thing that I have over here. Okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Take this away. Okay. Let's see if I can clean this up. All right, I know what's going on there, but I'm not going to give myself too much. I don't want to move my diagram. Let me just bring this guy back over here. Let me change maybe the color there. Right. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then draw a, something like so. And I'm going to use that same radius, put it on, use there. Now put it over here. Same radius. Are you with me? And we're going to do that. Then I can put this away. So the place where they intersect, that is going to be the place where they intersect. That is where I'm going to draw the line. From there. There you go. This is what you're supposed to do. You leave your construction arcs. Do not remove them. You understand? And that's the solution there to question 26 of that. Okay. So very straightforward. Of course, you should do this under 2 minutes. Don't waste too much time as far as that is concerned. Okay. Yeah, so let me just see if I can quickly snip that, and then I can obviously also let's take a snippet of that, and then I am going to have a rectangular snip, no problem, no questions asked, and I'm going to carry this, and I'm going to say this is my question 20, okay, question 26, it's question 26, 26, okay, and I'm just going to save it on the desktop. So let me go back to my diagram, and perhaps we can see if we can insert the image, and it was this one, okay, right, so here it is, and where can I put it? I will just put it over there. All right, that's how you were supposed to solve that question. Let's go to the next one. It says in a group of 20, 27, right? The question is 27. In a group of 35 students, okay, 14 go to school by bus. So the ones who don't go does not use the bus, does not use the bus, okay? Understand what I mean? That will be 35 take away 14, okay, for you to find the number of students who do not use the bus. Okay, so that this is what? This is 20, 21. Okay, now they say give your answer as a fraction in its lowest terms. So it will be 20 out of 35, and your job is just to simplify that. Okay, there's no hurry. I mean, there's no stress. You just put your calculator like this and press equal to your calculator, give you the fraction that is required, 3 over 5. All right, that's it. Then we get to question 28. The diagram shows a sector of a circle, center O, and that angle is 60 degrees, and then we have radius of 24. That implies that this one over here is also 24. When they say you must find the perimeter, you are going to add 24 plus 24 plus this arc length. Now, if you have a circle, and if you are asked to find the circumference of the circle, this is the formula. That will give you the whole circumference. But this is just part of that. Okay? So when you are now having only a part, so if I say to you, but I don't want the whole thing, I only want part of it, say only this part. Now that is not a complete part. So that is why I'm saying that is the arc length. And the arc length obviously will depend, you'll be joining it, right, by straight lines from there to there. So the angle that is here, whatever that angle is, let's say theta, okay, the arc length will be that theta over 360 degrees, because it's the whole thing, but it's not the whole thing, is part of that. You're going to multiply this by the formula, which is 2 pi r. Okay, that is basically how you find that. So at the end of the day, to find AB, it's going to be 60 degrees out of 360 times 2 times pi times the radius, which is 24. All right, if you have to do all of this stuff over here, I think you will just get 8 pi. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to just multiply 60 over 360 times 2, oopsie daisy, times 2 times pi, doesn't really matter, times 24, I get 8 pi. So over here, this is 8 pi, right? So the perimeter is 48 plus 8 pi. This is the exact answer, all right? You can actually now grab your calculator and say, okay, plus 48 and see what that answer is. And then you can give your answer as the decimal equivalent, okay? And then obviously you can write that answer down, and it's totally then up to you how many places you want to give that answer to. Right. So that will be the answer over here, 73 point blah 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 blah. But you know, you can also write it to three significant figures as 73.1 centimeters. That is 3 SF. But you can also write everything, you know, three significant figures or more. Hope that takes care of that. Let me bring the sector. Let me bring it back. Okay, take a snapshot of it. So I'm going to bring that sector. All right, let's take a nicer picture of it. Okay, I'm going to place it over here. Then I'm going to bring in the next one, which is the circle. Now, here's what I want my point. If you were to calculate the area of this circle, the formula for you to calculate the area is now all of this stuff inside. That's the area, right? The area of a circle is found by taking pi r square, right? That's how you find the area of a circle. But this is a sector. This is a sector. So it's rather a very small part of that. So that's like something like that. So if I was to say, okay, this is my center over here. So let's say I draw something from here. Maybe I can go the other direction. I can maybe use something like this. All right. Let's say this is that, and that is that. So let's say this is what that is, right? It's not to scale, but I hope you get the idea. This is 24 over there. That's 24. That's 60 degrees. So we are looking for this area. So it's not a complete circle. So the area of that sector, the area of that sector, the area of the sector will be the part of the circle times pi r, which is 24 square, because that's the part that you're looking for, not the whole circle. Because the circle is 360 over 360, but 360 over 360 is 1. So make sure that yeah, you put 60 over 360 and you multiply that by pi, multiply that by 24 squared. Answer is 96 pi. Right, 96 pi is the absolute absolute, like Afrikaans now, but absolute exact answer. But you can obviously change it from third form to decimal form, and then I will just bring in that part. Let's capture that. So this is now for, you know, you can also give the answer like so, and then you can then say, okay, you can give that full value, or you can give it to three significant figures, which is the same as 302 centimeters square, correct to 3 SF, right? And that could be your solution as well. But this is 100% fine, 96 pi, because it's the exact value. Okay, we are getting closer to the end of the question paper. And this, in fact, is the last question, right, for this paper. I'm going to put, because we are dealing with the mean, so I'm going to put something called the mid values, the mid intervals, the mid values. And how you calculate those mid values, I'm just going to do a few. You take this, and then maybe I'll call this one the frequency. Okay, doesn't matter. If you were to take 0 plus 1, you take 0 plus 1, and you divide that answer by 2, you get 0.5. So in this range, the time here, here's the thing, because we don't really know what the mean is, so we're just going to estimate. So we go to every class interval and we say, okay, for those people who made the 12 calls between 0 and 1 minute. What is the average of 0 and 1 minute? What is half of that? Half of that is half. And if we take between 1 and 2, right? Because we don't know how many people only spend 1 minute, how many do 2 minutes, and so on. So what is the average there? Then we say 1 plus 2, and we average that out to get 1.5. So in this, we're going to say about 1.5. That's the time that these 14 people, or this number of 14 calls will make. About one, it lasted about 1.5 minutes. Similarly here, we're going to say, okay, let's take, we don't really know how many calls were 2 minutes long or 3 minutes long, or between 2 and 3. 3 minutes long or 4 minutes long. But we're going to say, let's find more or less the average. So let's say 2 plus 4 at those extremes, and you divide that answer to the half of that, which is 3. And that's what we do for each one. 4 plus 6 is 10. Half of 10 is 5 for that interval. 6 plus 8 is 14. Half of 14 is 7. Are we together so far? 8 plus 10 is 18. Half of 18 is 9. And then on this side, you have 10 plus 15 is 25. Half of 25 is like 12.5. Right. So this is how you find the estimate of the mean. You take 0.5 times the frequency plus 1.5, those material values, times 14 plus 3 times 20 plus 5 times 14 plus 7 times 12 plus 9 times 18. Well, you should not write here, but I'm running out of space, okay? Then it's going to be 12.5 times 10. Ooh. Let's rather write it here. Plus is it 12.5 times 10? Right, all of that stuff, you are going to divide all of that by 100. Okay, so let's just write it down to make I have more space. Half of 12 is 6. 1.5 times 14, that is 21. 3 times 20, that is 60. 5 times 40, that is 70. Half of 140. Plus 7 times 12, that is 84. 9 times 18, well, 9 times 18 is 162. And 120, 12.5 times 10, you just move the comma, is 125. All of this, we put it over the 100. Put it over 100. Okay, so it's just a matter of you now finding whatever that answer is. And if I work it all out, I have 528 divided by 100. And this gives us the solution that we are going to put here, which is 5.28 minutes. And that's it. That's all she wrote. Right, I was trying to go a bit slow, and hopefully you have engaged well as I was doing this paper, right? I'm going to be uploading soon the AS level papers that was done in the region, but the learners who are doing ordinary level, and even for the teachers, you can use this material and then you can do your revision on it as you prepare the learners for the upcoming examinations. Good luck with your studies.